The alien bazaar was a sea of colors, scents, and sounds that Marcus still couldn't get used to. The air shimmered with holographic trade signs, while the ground shook slightly with the weight of massive, armored beasts hauling goods. Traders shouted in languages that were half growl, half music. And right in the middle of it all, a lone human walked with wide eyes, clutching a datapad like a lifeline. Marcus had been stationed at the Xiphron trade hub for 2 months now, working as a liaison between human merchants and the endless wave of alien traders. He wasn't special, just another mid-rank officer shuffled off Earth to keep negotiations from turning ugly. But he had one rule: always try to bridge gaps with kindness. Even in the farthest reaches of space, a smile and a gentle word could soften even the harshest face. That was what brought him to her. She stood behind a stall overflowing with glittering stones that pulsed faintly with inner light. Xiphron jewel crystals, each worth more than Marcus' annual salary. But he wasn't staring at the gems. He was staring at her. The alien woman was tall, easily 7 feet, with pale, iridescent skin that shifted colors depending on the angle of the light. Faint ridges ran along her cheekbones, framing her sharp features. Her 4 black eyes, set diagonally across her face, were as unsettling as they were mesmerizing. She had no hair, only a crown of delicate tendrils that rippled slightly in the station's artificial breeze. Most humans would have found her terrifying. But Marcus didn't. He noticed the way she moved, carefully with precision, but also with a kind of quiet grace. He noticed the way her tendrils drooped slightly, as if weighted by something invisible, and he thought she looked lonely. So, without thinking, he stopped in front of her stall, cleared his throat, and said the words that would change everything. "You look beautiful today." The effect was immediate. The alien woman froze, her tendrils stiffening as though she'd been struck. All 4 of her eyes locked onto Marcus. The other traders nearby went silent, whispers rippling through the crowd. A hulking reptilian merchant actually backed away, muttering something in his guttural tongue. Marcus blinked. Did I say something wrong?" The alien woman's chest rose and fell rapidly. Then she leaned forward, her voice a low hiss that carried both menace and confusion. "Human, do you realize what you have said to me?" Marcus swallowed hard. "I paid you a compliment." The woman stared at him for a long moment, then did something Marcus didn't expect. She covered her mouth with one slender clawed hand, and her eyes shimmered like tears. The beginning of trouble. Her name was Cythera, though Marcus would later learn that most didn't dare speak it aloud. She belonged to the Kithari, a warrior race feared across 3 sectors. In Kithari culture, compliments weren't casual things. They were sacred. To call someone beautiful wasn't small talk. It was a declaration of intent, a promise, sometimes even a bond. Cythera explained none of this right away. Instead, she simply grabbed Marcus by the wrist with surprising strength and dragged him away from the bazaar, ignoring the startled glances from other traders. He tried to protest, but she didn't listen until they were alone in a dim, quiet chamber filled with hanging crystals. There she finally spoke. "No one has said those words to me since before my exile." Marcus blinked. "Exile?" She nodded slowly. "I was once first blade of my clan. Warrior, protector, heir to the crystal line. But I was defeated. Cast out. To call me beautiful is to deny my dishonor. Why would you say it?" Marcus scratched the back of his neck. "Because it's true. I don't know what your people think, but where I'm from, sometimes people just need to hear it." Her eyes softened, just slightly, but her tendrils still twitched with unease. "Humans," she whispered. always reckless with words. But reckless or not, something had shifted. From that day forward, Cythera kept appearing wherever Marcus went, sometimes watching from the shadows, sometimes striding right up to him with sharp questions. She wanted to know why humans gave compliments, why they laughed so easily, why they seemed unafraid of death in ways the Kithari couldn't understand. Marcus, in turn, wanted to know about her people, about her exile, about the weight she carried in her silence. And slowly, against all odds, a bond began to form. The middle repercussions. Word spread quickly. The human who had dared compliment the Berserker princess, the fallen warrior who had once been destined to lead armies. Some laughed at the foolishness. Others whispered of omens and prophecy. But not everyone found it amusing. 3 weeks later, Marcus was cornered in the docking bay by 3 Kithari warriors. They were larger than Cythera, clad in segmented armor, and their eyes glowed with cold fury. "You insulted our traditions, human," the tallest growled. "You mock our exile. For this, your blood should soak the deck." Marcus raised his hands. "I didn't mean any offense. Honestly. I just..." "Enough." The warrior raised his blade. Before he could strike, a blur of movement cut across the bay. Cythera slammed into the warrior, sending him sprawling. The others drew their weapons, but she stood between them and Marcus, her tendrils fanned out like a crown of fire. "This human is under my protection," she snarled. "Strike him and you strike me." The warriors froze. Even in exile, Cythera was no opponent to take lightly. Slowly, with hateful glares, they backed away. When they were gone, Marcus let out a shaky breath. "You didn't have to do that." Her gaze softened. "You defended my honor with words. I will defend yours with blades." That was the night Marcus truly understood the weight of what he'd said to her. To Cythera, "You look beautiful today," had not been idle. It had been an anchor. A tether back to a life she thought forever lost. And now, whether he liked it or not, they were bound. The Court of Crystals. The turning point came when the Xiphron Council called for a hearing. Rumors of a human binding himself to a Kithari exile had reached too many ears. Diplomats whispered of instability, of fragile alliances threatened. And so, Marcus found himself standing before a chamber filled with alien dignitaries, Cythera at his side. The council speaker, a towering insectoid with shimmering wings, buzzed harshly. "Human Marcus, did you, in front of witnesses, declare the exile Cythera beautiful?" Marcus cleared his throat. "Yes." Gasps rippled through the chamber. The insectoid's wings quivered. "Do you understand the implications of this claim?" Marcus glanced at Cythera, who stood rigid, her eyes locked on the floor. Then he looked back at the council. "Maybe not by your traditions. But I know what I meant. I meant that she's not just some exile or warrior. She's someone worth seeing. Worth respecting." A silence followed, heavy and tense. Then a low, mocking laugh echoed from the chamber's far side. A Kithari warlord stepped forward, clad in black armor that pulsed with energy. His scars twisted his face into a permanent sneer. "This is madness," he growled. "A human dares claim what only a Kithari may. Very well. If the human speaks truth, let him prove it. Let him fight." Cythera's head snapped up. "No. He is not trained." But Marcus stepped forward before she could finish. His voice was steady. "If that's what it takes, then fine. I'll fight.